My name is Sumaya Sidat, and I co-authored this paper with my colleague, Dr. Tony Machaba-Hove. We are from the Department of Business Management at Nelson Mandela University in Port Elizabeth. So my presentation will be as follows. I'll start off with a brief introduction and background to my topic, followed by motivation and objectives of the paper. Then I'll briefly outline the methodology which we used, followed by an outline of my literature, and then a discussion of my results. And then lastly, I'll talk about some practical implications as well as limitations and recommendations for future research. So as we know, financial technology is one of the most transformative trends of the century, and it is transforming the traditional methods in which financial services have been executed. It also has the ability to make financial services more efficient, user-friendly, and accessible to more people. Now, within the financial planning sector, robo-advisors are a fintech component which are expected to transform the traditional methods of financial planning. Robo-advisors are online platforms which can generate investment advice and financial solutions through the press of a button with limited human interaction. So robo-advisors are client and institutional facing. So this means that individual investors can use a robo-advisor independently, or a financial planning practice or firm can incorporate robo-advisors into their service offerings by creating their own or adopting an existing model. Now, the motivation for the study was based on the belief that by investigating the intentions of financial planners to adopt robo-advisors into their practices, we could get results that may assist in easing the incorporation of robo-advisors into financial planning practices within South Africa. Now, based on that motivation, our article's main objectives are to firstly identify factors that inhibit the intentions of financial planners to adopt robo-advisors, and secondly, we want to identify factors which will facilitate the adoption of robo-advisors into the financial planning process within South Africa. Now, with regards to our research approach, we adopted an interpretivist paradigm and a qualitative approach to capture the perceptions of financial planners regarding their intentions to adopt robo-advisors. With regards to our research strategy, we used semi-structured interviews, which were in-depth interviews with 13 financial planners within the Eastern Cape, that is where we reside, and these interviews were conducted until the point of saturation. The sampling methods which we used were firstly criterion and then snowball-based sampling. So for criterion-based sampling, what we did is we required that our participants had to actively have offered investment advice for a minimum of 3 years. And secondly, our participants had to have some sort of formal education in the form of a degree, diploma, or certification, which enable them to offer financial advice. Now, with regards to data collection, as we collected data prior to the COVID-19 lockdown, we were able to do face-to-face interviews, which were semi-structured interviews. In these interviews, specific themes and topics were addressed in order to ensure that the necessary information was collected from our participants. With regards to data recording, interviews were audio recorded, and then these recordings were sent to a professional transcriber who then transcribed it into text for us. Then these interview transcripts were then further analyzed by means of an inductive and deductive content analysis. Now, prior to investigating the intentions of financial planners to adopt robo-advisors, it was important to fully understand what robo-advisors are and how they work. So the first topic which we covered in our literature was the main functions of robo-advisors. These include, but are not limited to, the creation of portfolios, portfolio rebalancing, and as well as tax loss harvesting. Next, we look at the robo-advisory process. So in stage 1, we have client identification and screening. And here the robo-advisor will require a client to set up an account and fill out an online questionnaire, which is usually in a multiple choice format. This entails their financial needs, goals, risk appetite, as well as their investment timeline. These questions are specially designed to assist robo-advisors in collecting the information they require in order to generate recommendations. In stage 2, the robo-advisor will then develop a so-called plan by deciding on an asset allocation and selecting ideal securities, ultimately providing the user with a proposed investment solution. Then lastly, in stage 3, robo-advisors will now continually monitor the performance of clients' investments, and when necessary, they will adjust or rebalance the portfolio. After this stage, the robo-advisor will return to stage 1 and then reevaluate the client's information again in order to identify any updates or changes which have happened in the client's financial situation. Next, we look at the benefits of financial planners adopting robo-advisors. So firstly, we have efficiency. So robo-advisors can efficiently assist financial planners in servicing their clients. Secondly, the main downfall of independently using a robo-advisor is that they cannot develop relationships with clients and they cannot exhibit any emotional intelligence. So by financial planners incorporating robo-advisors into their offerings, they can eliminate the lack of human interaction, which is experienced when independently choosing to use a robo-advisor. This also means that whilst robo-advisors can deal with all the behind-the-scenes work, financial planners will then have less work and can focus more on establishing meaningful relationships with clients, which is ultimately central to the financial planning process. The robo-advisor can also assist in lowering costs in areas of data collection, data organizing, analyzing portfolios, and delivering advice. And lastly, as a result of freeing more time and lowering costs by adopting robo-advisors, financial planners can also have the time to access more clients. The last element which we look at in the literature is the technology acceptance model. Now, TAM, the technology acceptance model, looks at factors that influence people to accept new technology in their everyday lives. This model was extremely relevant in the context of our study as it could help understand what makes financial planners want to adopt robo-advisors into their practices. According to this variation of the TAM model, the perceived usefulness and the perceived ease of use of technology had to be considered. However, when it comes to the perceived ease of use of robo-advisors, we cannot really investigate this as robo-advisors are not widely used within South Africa. However, an in-depth investigation was done regarding the perceived usefulness of the technology by considering various variables, including the intentions to use, training, experience, and system quality. These were then used as part of our deductive codes in our content analysis, and they were further developed through information which emerged inductively in our analysis. Now we look at the actual findings and results of our study. So firstly, we consider the general viewpoints of participants. And here we found some financial planners are of the opinion that technology, like the robo-advisor, can cause disruption to the industry. And in order to mitigate this disruption, individuals within the industry need to adjust to it by considering adopting these technologies. On the other hand, however, there is a perception that even if robo-advisors are adopted, minimal disruption can be caused because humans will always remain central to the financial planning process. Next, we looked at the intentions to use component, and here we wanted to understand the willingness of financial planners to actually adopt robo-advisors. And it was found that it is possible for robo-advisors to be incorporated into financial planning, and that such tools can ultimately improve the offerings and save time with regards to the execution of specific tasks. There's also a general consensus that human financial planners can supplement robo-advisors by bringing the human element of empathy and emotion. Generally, it was found that the lack of humanness present when using a robo-advisor is a major inhibiting factor. And this is why it will be ideal for financial planners to incorporate it into their offerings and offer that human support to supplement the process. Training and education refers to the internal or external sources of training and education, which is provided to financial planners on the topic of robo-advisors specifically. Here it was found that there is a general lack of information and formal education and training on this topic, as most financial planners learn about this topic from their own readings and research efforts. Very few, however, indicated that there were some brief discussions on the topic at industry presentations or roadshow presentations. However, there is no dedicated programs or sources of training on this topic locally. Now, with regards to experience, as robo-advisors are not widely used in South Africa, the participants of the study had not had any physical experience with a robo-advisor. One participant did claim to have experience. However, when they were asked to explain the experience, the lack of education and training on the topic was highlighted again, as what they had experienced was not a robo-advisor. In addition to this, the general experience and attitude towards technology can also affect the willingness of somebody to adopt a robo-advisor. Next, we looked at system quality, which refers to the perceived ability of robo-advisors to provide efficient solutions. Here it was found that ultimately robo-advisors are perceived to be accurate and efficient and have the ability to eliminate potential human biases. Robo-advisors offer fast, almost instant results and thus also exceed human capabilities in areas such as mathematics and speed. However, once again, an issue which is of high concern here is the lack of human component and the inability of robo-advisors to exhibit emotions such as empathy. Lastly, we investigated the compatibility with tasks, which looked at the degree to which the technology can complete the required task of financial planning. And over here, once again, a huge area of concern which was highlighted was the lack of the human element present when an individual chooses to use a robo-advisor independently, as robo-advisors can't mimic human behavior and they can't read body language or develop deep relationships with clients. Based on these results and through the guidance of the technology acceptance model, we were able to develop the robo-advisory adoption model, which outlines the factors that influence financial planners' intentions to adopt technology like the robo-advisor. These factors include the intentions to use, training and education, experience, system quality, and compatibility with tasks. The practical implications for the financial planning industry is that it is expected that by adopting robo-advisors, there will be a transformation in the traditional methods of financial planning, and this will impact the current financial planning process followed. If used correctly, these tools can facilitate an easier process for both financial planners and clients, by addressing the elements of the robo-advisory model, institutions and professional bodies within the financial planning sector can facilitate the process of adopting robo-advisors into their practices. Now, lastly, these are just some limitations and recommendations of our study. And due to our time and financial constraints, we had only a limited sample for data analysis, and we only consulted with financial planners in one geographical region. Furthermore, a study of a similar nature, perhaps with a quantitative approach, can be executed on a larger scale with participants from various regions in order to develop a broader understanding. Most of the research done on this topic was done in foreign countries, so increased research is required in the local context as South Africa differs vastly from those countries. Future studies which entail an in-depth analysis of experiences of the implementation of and use of robo-advisors in other countries can also assist in developing more clear guidelines for implementation locally. The training and education initiatives of countries where robo-advisors are widely used also needs to be investigated, as this is a crucial area of concern on the topic. And that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for your time and for listening. Thank you.